What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another video here on the Big Blue in the Bronx YouTube channel. I am your host, as always, Alex Guyevich Prodich, aka AGP. And today, we're in the middle of draft week. We got to talk about this situation, this little kerfuffle that the Giants are in. They may not see it, but we see it as fans, and it's a good debate topic to talk about as far as the future of the New York Giants. So hit that like button, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff, turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops, video drops. Appreciate you guys coming back as usual. And use the SeatGeek code. I know the NBA playoffs are here. Some of you guys are Knicks fans, and the Knicks are playing at MSG. So as far as that goes, use the SeatGeek code, $20 off your online order with the promo code Big Blue in the Bronx. So let's background the situation. Let's fill it with context. Going back to last year, and this is, of course, the debate about quarterback or position player, and maybe I shouldn't word it like that because it sounds like baseball, but quarterback or non-quarterback at 3 is the debate right now amongst Giant fans, what they want the team to do. So, again, filling it with context, the New York Giants let go of Daniel Jones. We saw the disaster class of a season they had last year, which prompts them at the number 3 pick. So they bring in Jameis Winston. I'm not going to go about the rumors and this, that, and the other thing. I'm talking about who's on the rosters. They bring in Jameis Winston. And a lot of people are like, you know what? I can roll with Jameis Winston as my starter. Just draft a quarterback, right? Draft Shedeur at 3, draft this guy, whoever. So then they bring in Russell Wilson. After he visits with the Giants, debates for a few weeks what he wants to do. Russell Wilson is a New York Giant. He's very much embracing the spotlight, as he should. He's earned it. He's Super Bowl champion, 10-time Pro Bowler, all that good stuff. So you have one section of the fan base, and content creators too, and writers, people who think objectively in their view, people who think subjectively, people who think with a fan cap on, whatever. So you have people that say, Shedeur Sanders should be the pick at 3. Some people say, nope, shouldn't be Shedeur Sanders. You can wait to get your quarterback and go for Travis Hunter, Will Campbell, Armin Membu, or, of course, the new favorite is Abdul Carter. Now, in my debate here, or more my talking points, I should say, I'm not trying to crap on any of these players. I'm not saying they're not good or this, that, and the other thing. I'm talking about what fits the Giants now and what does good for them in the future. And that's why I know this is very early in the video to make my statement. The New York Giants should take Shedeur Sanders at 3. For a little bit in the few weeks that Russell Wilson was first here, I was like, okay, maybe the Giants could take a developmental quarterback in the second round or trade up for a Milroe or trade up for a Dart. But as the weeks went on and I started listening to things, I'm like, no, I still think the Giants should take a quarterback at 3. Now, you have Jalen Milroe and Shedeur Sanders. Jackson Dart, obviously, we know he's from Ole Miss, all these other different things. But I'm really looking at these two quarterbacks, Milroe and Sanders, because I think the Giants have a lot of interest in Milroe. I think the Giants have a lot of interest in Shedeur Sanders. And I think it's going to be down to one of those two quarterbacks, obviously not in the same set of picks, right? Shedeur Sanders would go 3 if the Giants valued him there, which I think they should. And Milroe would probably be 34. You jump back up into the first round. You trade back in with like the Rams or something, or God knows what other team is at the latter end of the first round. You jump back in. You take your Jalen Milroe like the Ravens took Lamar Jackson. So the debate of Shedeur Sanders versus Jalen Milroe, and I do not want Tyler Shuck. I don't want him. 6 years of college ball, limited production, absolutely not. I don't know why people think that he has this ceiling that it just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, back to reality. I'm going to compare Shedeur Sanders, some of his traits, to Jalen Milroe. So just Shedeur Sanders, 37 touchdowns last year with the Colorado Buffaloes, and he has been able to turn around 2 programs with his dad. I understand there's the stuff about, oh, he's a big mouth and his dad, like, let's stop putting his dad in the equation, because I think that's where a lot of the hate and the vitriol comes from. But anyway, 37 touchdowns, 74% completion last year, 10 interceptions, 8.7 yards per throw. So then you move to the guy from Alabama, that's Jalen Milroe. All right, we got to see the Senior Bowl. 16 touchdowns, 11 INTs, 2,844 yards. And then the year prior, where he got the same amount of playing time, that was his first year as a starter, 23 touchdowns, 6 INTs, 2,834 yards. Completion percentage is 65.8 in 23 and 64.3 in 2024. So, Shedeur Sanders is definitely more pro-ready if you watch the tape. Less risks and middle of the field precision. And the knock on him is that he can't throw a deep ball and that his velocity isn't very good, which I've seen on the film. There was an interception. I forget which game I was watching, but it was just so lanky, lobbyish that, it ended up in the defender's hands, intended for the receiver downfield. As I said, I don't remember. It was on somebody's Twitter. But nonetheless, less risks. You see that with the completion percentage, but you also see it on the film. He doesn't take, not that he doesn't take a lot of risks, but he's a very safe precision passer. Towards the middle of the field, he's not going to make too many stupid decisions. Again, his college tape and his college statistics really indicate that. Only 3 interceptions with Colorado in 2023. And mind you, this is a program where there's not a lot of people drafted out of. And I know that shouldn't be an excuse for certain things, whatever. Jimmy Horn, Shiloh Sanders, and Travis Hunter are the only ones that I think are going to get drafted, at least to the knowledge of myself, because I don't watch a lot of Colorado football, but those 3 I know are getting drafted. Hunter, obviously within the first 5 picks, Shiloh late rounds, and Jimmy Horn late rounds. This is not some stud team, Alabama. Again, this is a team that Shedeur Sanders and his dad, and Travis Hunter as well, they turned around the program. They didn't have a shit ton of wins in 23. They got, I think it was 9 wins in 24. So again, the ability, and I can get it, it's a college program, it's a little different than the NFL, but the ability within a year or two just to turn around the atmosphere gives hope to New York Giant fans if they do take Shedeur Sanders, right? But again, to go through those pros and cons, more pro-ready, less risks, middle of the field precision, less mobile. That's a knock on him, that his athleticism isn't always there. But I think you could still, in this day and age, operate with a pocket passer. And I don't think that Shedeur is as unathletic as people say he is. His pocket presence definitely could improve, because sometimes he does escape a pretty clean pocket. Again, that could be worked on. And deep ball and velocity, that could be worked on. Weight room, all these other different drills. So, again, more pro-ready. And let's say this as well, just to make the point for these 2 guys, and really any other quarterback that you want to consider, but I'm really just considering Shedeur Sanders and Jalen Milroe. The likelihood of these guys starting week 1 is very, 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 very unlikely. It is very, very unlikely, because you have Russell Wilson. Jameis Winston's probably going to be that coach, the guy that mentors the rookie quarterback, whoever that may be. And if Russell Wilson goes down or the Giants suck, then you might see them later in the season. You won't see them right off the bat. So Jalen Milroe, dual threat ability. That's one thing that sticks out about him. Number of rushing yards, number of touchdowns, all these other different things. 726 rushing yards last year, 20 touchdowns on the ground. That is insane. The year before that, 12 touchdowns on the ground, 531 yards. So he's a dual threat quarterback, all right. Or at least he has the potential to be a dual threat quarterback, because he's a great runner. He's not a great passer. Deep ball, that's where a lot of people see the strength of his passing game. They see his deep ball, very strong, much stronger than Shedeur Sanders, the velocity and all that stuff. Now, there's the run before you can't run before you walk saying. And of course, throwing the deep ball sometimes is a basic, well, actually not even sometimes, it's a basic need for a quarterback to be able to release that deep ball. But you see where the pros and cons differentiate from each other with Jalen Milroe and Shedeur Sanders, where Shedeur Sanders doesn't have a great deep ball, but He's got the middle of the field precision. He's got the less risks locked down, that sort of stuff. Jalen Milroe, on the other hand, middle of the field processing and quarterback ability overall. That needs to grow. That needs about a year, at least, maybe 2. I don't know if the Giants have that kind of time, because think of it this way. You take Jalen Milroe at 34, you move up, right? You have this year to groom him. And I'm not saying he can't be a fit for the Giants. I think he definitely could. You have to absolutely bank that Milroe, the less ready of these 2 prospects that we're talking about, is, I don't want to say phenomenal, but he's shored up on a good percentage of his flaws without even playing a great number of games, right? Let's just say, I don't know, the Giants win 8-9 games with Russell Wilson towards the end. They don't make the playoffs, but towards the end, they're fighting for the playoffs. So Jalen Milroe never gets any playing time. Or the Giants suck. Milroe gets playing time towards the end of the season. You have to hope that he makes that next step. And it'd be a little scarier if he doesn't play, because this is a guy you probably need to get his kinks out. 5th year of the contract for Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. I don't know if you could play with their future like that. I don't know if they can play with their future like that. If Jalen Milroe is a half-decent quarterback and you win 9 games because your defense, your running game, and your trenches, that's a different story, but does that really make Milroe like a great pick wherever you pick him, either late first round or 34th overall? So those are the pros and cons. Now, let me say something, and this really shouldn't be a knock on Jalen Milroe, but it kind of says a lot of different things. Let's take a look at 4 second-round quarterbacks that have been picked since 2019. You have Drew Lock. He didn't work out in Denver. You had Jalen Hurts. He's working out. He's a Super Bowl champion, went to the Super Bowl twice with a very, very good Eagles team. But Jalen Hurts, nonetheless, he fits what they do. You have Kyle Trask, who is basically the backup over there. And I don't think he would have been good anyway. And you also have Will Levis, who stunk in Tennessee, and he's likely getting replaced by Cam Ward, unless something unforeseeable happens. So you have that. The second thing is this. Non-first round quarterback teams. The Saints, they have Derek Carr, who was picked in the 2nd round by the Raiders. The Seahawks picked Russell Wilson in the 3rd round, many, many moons ago. That's the Giants' current quarterback. The Raiders, Geno Smith, was picked in the 2nd round out of West Virginia by the Jets. Dak Prescott was picked, I believe, in the 3rd round by the Cowboys. The 49ers picked Brock Purdy in the 7th round, and meaning the Eagles, they picked Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round. What does that tell you? Though guys are passed around the league, Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, this guy, that guy, whoever. And I'm going to assume for the time being that Aaron Rodgers will be the Steelers quarterback until further notice. That shows you, even though these guys are passed around, these guys are first-round talents. They were first-round picks. And what's that? 32, that's 26 teams in the NFL right now using first-round quarterbacks. And only handful of teams using non-first-round QBs. Like, a lot of people say, oh, the hit percentage on a quarterback in the first round. I'm like, yeah, try the next 6 rounds. The argument really doesn't make any sense. So to wrap up this video on why the Giants should take Shedeur Sanders, and there's the argument, oh, you can't take any quarterback. Well, guess what? The Giants played around last year. They took Malik Neighbors. Not only did they take Malik Neighbors, right? Not only did they take Malik Neighbors, and I'm very grateful for his over 1,000-yard season. But let's go through it, right? The Giants only had 3 wins. Again, not Malik Neighbors' fault, but you brought in virtually no competition for Daniel Jones. So there's that. And not to mention, a lot of people don't know this, Giants wanted to come back up for Michael Penix Jr. They couldn't because the Atlanta Falcons took him with the 8th overall pick. A lot of people didn't see that, including the Giants. So, also this. You don't fuck around with the quarterback position. I know that Some cases have worked out for other teams, like coming back to get Lamar Jackson, coming back to get this guy, whatever, Jordan Love. You don't screw around with the quarterback position, especially if you are the New York Football Giants. And let's look at those two situations, right? Green Bay, I don't remember if they traded back in. They may have traded back in with Kansas City. But even then, they had Aaron Rodgers, who was still in his prime. Go to the other situation with the Ravens. Joe Flacco, he was edging out of his prime, but that year where Lamar Jackson finished it off, they were still a playoff team. They still had a pretty good team around them. I mean, they still do now. They've had so many years of winning. But the Giants don't have that luxury. So in terms of why taking Shedeur Sanders, why taking a quarterback at 3 in general, Shedeur Sanders being that guy, upside and pro readiness. I know people saying, oh, he's hitting his head on a ceiling, whatever, pro readiness. And I think there's a theory out there, and I subscribe to this theory, that you really can't reach on a quarterback in the first round. I'm not talking second round, I'm not talking third round. And this even goes for Jalen Milroe, Tyler Shuck, whoever. If that quarterback helps you win a Super Bowl, right? Multiple Super Bowls, whatever the story may be, you're really not complaining about, oh, we traded up this many picks or we picked this guy at 3 and he really wasn't worth it. I love Eli Manning. I do. Was he an elite quarterback? He was not. Big Ben was arguably better than him. And I understand Big Ben had better teams. But Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls. That's why the pick of Eli Manning and the trade worked out, and nobody gives a flying rat's ass about what the compensation was today. Taking a swing for direction. In terms of taking a swing for direction, this shows that the Giants are seeing the future out. That they're taking the highest quarterback on the board. And they have him in the pipeline for the future. Right? They're taking the highest quarterback on the board. They have him in the pipeline for the future. And when he enters, he is more pro-ready than anyone else on the board. And he fits the system. Even better. You're not waiting until 2026. That's what I'm also talking about of taking a swing for a direction. You're not waiting until 2026. Oh, well, Garrett Nussmeier is coming out. Yeah, who else is coming out? Is Drew Aller going to come out? I can't even name some of these quarterbacks. You don't know how many people are going to come out. The transfer portal has changed so many things in college football that it's like, oh, this guy's going to come out. And then they go to the transfer portal, and then they receive NIL money. Carson Beck was one of those guys. He was supposed to come out, and then he transferred over to Miami. So don't give me this, oh, we could wait till 2026. What if the Giants win a less amount of, like 6-7 games, and they're not in the position to take a quarterback? Then we will be in quarterback hell. We will be where we have been for the last few years. And again, if the Giants don't take a high enough quarterback, maybe they take one in the 5th or 6th round, what's that doing to save Brian Dable and Joe Shane's jobs if the season goes awry and Russell Wilson's cooked? And, maybe the O-line's bad or the defense is not as good. So it's giving Joe Shane and Brian Dable that 5th-year insurance. It really is. Leadership again. And you're giving Brian Dable and Joe Shane a quarterback. You're giving them the best quarterback on the board because Cam Ward will be gone, right? You're giving them the best quarterback on the board, and you're giving them what John Mara probably promised them. Okay, you guys take your quarterback. Russell Wilson is not their quarterback. They signed him. Jameis Winston, he's not their quarterback. They signed him. This is their guy. They get to mold and develop. Do not give me Tommy DeVito. Shedeur Sanders would be that guy. He's more pro-ready, and I think he definitely fits the Giants. And you know what? For all the people out there that say, oh, 3 edge rushers, the Giants had that with Kiwanuka and JPP. I don't want to hear that because the Giants had a good enough team in both 2010 and when they took Kiwanuka in the mid-2000s. The Giants are not a good enough team right now to take a luxury pick 2 years in a row, and they still have Kayvon Thibodeau on the roster who they may or may not pay. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or drops. Appreciate you coming back. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.